Bruce Rivers, he's the criminal lawyer.
But who is he?
Bruce Rivers, he's the criminal lawyer.
And who is he?
Bruce Rivers, he's the criminal lawyer.
And what he do?
And it's gonna react to all the self-snitching.
Hi, this is Bruce Rivers. Welcome to another episode of Criminal Lawyer Reacts, CLR Bruce Rivers. That's our channel. And I am a board-certified criminal defense lawyer. In fact, I'm scheduled to go to trial tomorrow, but I'm going to take a little moment right now to talk about the indictment and the pending jury selection that's ongoing right now with regard to the Ahmaud Arbery killing. This is a killing in Georgia that occurred some time ago, but now they're up for trial. Now let's talk about a couple different things. Number one, these three men, Travis McMichael, Greg McMichael, and William Bryan, were all charged by way of indictment. Now, as you've probably gotten from prior episodes, I've talked about what an indictment is. That's where a grand jury will indict you. There's no judge, there's no just the prosecutor, and they present evidence to the grand jury, and the grand jury decides whether or not there's probable cause. Now, in this indictment, there are 8 counts. The first count is it's called malice murder. It's Georgia statute 1651. And what that basically means is that there was malice aforethought. And malice aforethought means that there was a deliberate, intentional act or set of circumstances that they put into place to disregard the life of another, basically, and kill him. And if they are convicted of count 1, they're looking at either the death penalty or life in prison without the possibility of parole. Now, they're charged with 7 other counts, and the other counts relate to felony murder, which is the murder being committed in the course of a felony. And the felony in this case is assault or aggravated assault. And they've got 2 different types of aggravated assault. One with the firearm, and number 2 with the pickup truck. And if you look at the video, which we'll show you in a second, they box him in, and let's back up a little bit, I guess. Ahmaud Arbery was a young kid who was suspected of a burglary by these guys. No, by nobody else, but by these 3 individuals. Evidently, they claimed that there were some burglaries going on in the neighborhood, and Arbery was just jogging down the street. Now, let's just say, for the sake of argument, that he was right, or that they were right, that he was one of these burglary suspects. They don't have the right to shoot him down. They don't have the right to chase him down. And in fact, what they should have done is called the police, but they didn't. So let's kind of go through the video itself, and then we'll kind of go back to the indictment. Now, here you see he's by himself. He's in the middle of the street, but what you also see is there's a pickup truck in front of him, and you have the neighbor. That's that, what's his name, Brian Williams? Or William Bryan. William Bryan is a neighbor that was, once he saw the pickup go by, he joined chase. Now, all he's doing is filming this. But if he's acting in concert with the folks in the pickup, one could argue that he's aiding and abetting. And aiding and abetting means that you're aiding, advising, counseling, inspiring, or otherwise helping the people commit the crime that they are committing. And when you're doing that, you're just as guilty of that crime as the person's actually committed it. So you can see him in the video here. He's in the middle of the street jogging. Why they don't just get out of their pickup without their guns, because clearly the kid's doesn't look like he's armed, and he looks pretty innocent in terms of, or non-threatening. And you got 3 people on one. I've specifically taken the sound out so we can focus on what's going on here. And you can see he's weaving in the street to try, and they're blocking his path. One of the things that they've claimed is they're going to claim 2 things. They're going to claim, one, that they were trying to effect a citizen's arrest, but they didn't see him commit any crime. And number 2, they're going to claim self-defense. We'll talk about self-defense in a second. See, now he gets out of it. Now they're struggling with the gun. When it comes to self-defense, if I'm initiating the provocation, you can't claim self-defense. You don't have the right to self-defense if you start the fight. If you start the fight and then it subsides and then you leave and the other guy comes after you, that's a revival of self-defense. We don't have that here. We have them chasing him down, and now they're fighting over the gun. And we're going to play this again with the sound, so a little quicker. There are 3 shots. He was shot twice in the chest, and 1 bullet grazed his hand. So that is the video of the death of Ahmaud Arbery. Now let's put up the sound so we can hear what's going on at the time. Now, the person that's in the car, this William Bryan, some people have said they hear a click of a gun. You do hear a click. I don't know if it's a gun or not, and there was no gun ever found on him. And it really doesn't matter whether he had a gun or not. He's using his car as a barricade so the kid can't get back, and that's one of the counts. Then he falls to the ground. Now, there's some body cam footage as well. You have the right to arrest somebody if you see a commission of a felony, but you don't have the right to use lethal force unless lethal force is being used against you. So you don't have the right to kill somebody to arrest them. Now, under Georgia law, a private person may arrest an offender if the offense is committed in his presence or within his immediate knowledge. If the offense is a felony and the offender is escaping or attempting to escape, a private person may arrest him upon reasonable and probable grounds of suspicion. In other words, if you know or have reason to know that a felony is committed and that person is the one that committed it and is kind of in your immediate area, you can arrest him. But it doesn't give you the right to be a vigilante. And that's kind of what we have here. These guys made a horrible decision by bringing guns. Now, the flip side of that is, well, what if Ahmaud Arbery was, armed? Well, he wasn't. And there wasn't any indication that he was. He's just a lone young kid jogging down the street. And let's say, for the sake of argument, that he was walking through that vacant home that was being constructed. He didn't have anything on him, so he didn't steal anything from that place. And they could have just as easily walked up to him and said, hey, look, you're going to wait right here. We're going to call the police. There were 3 of them. They could have easily detained him without anything more than these shotguns. I mean, the problem with the guns, and you put the guns into play, is that it gives them fucking balls like this. All of a sudden, they think they're Mr. and Mrs. Tough Guy, and they can, and they're going to protect the neighborhood, and so let's get into their way of thinking here. I want to show you a video. It's a body cam of one of these guys. I can't remember which one it is, but we're gonna play this video for you and see what you think of this, because I kind of agree with some of the commentary that this is nothing short of just a modern day lynching of a young black man who likely couldn't be tied to any crime.
Weapons or anything on you?
Just that.
Okay.
If he would have stopped, this would have happened.
That's fine. That's fine. Like I said, just...
If he would have stopped, this wouldn't have happened. if you would have had your fucking shotgun shoved up your fucking own ass in your goddamn garage where it should have been, or basement, or gun safe, and you would have just dealt with him, or if you would have had a taser, he'd still be alive.
Take a breath. Okay.
I want it run right.
I got you. So,
It just doesn't look good. I mean, it just shot me. Last thing I've ever done want to do in my life.
Last thing I ever wanted to do in my life. But you did it. And you did it with an aggression and a deliberate disregard for this kid's life. Now, I think these guys are going to get convicted. It is clear as day that they don't have any right to self-defense. And even if they were trying to effect a citizen's arrest, they didn't have the right to use lethal force. And it's on video. The person that does stand a possibility of getting an acquittal on this is that William Bryan, because he's not related to these two folks. And all he really did was, or what it seems to me, and I don't know all the facts, and so if I get something wrong here, let me know. But from what I can tell, he wasn't necessarily with them. He was a neighbor that took off when he saw the other truck take off, and he just filmed it. And if they had gotten together ahead of time, so they were kind of acting in concert, I could see that. I'm surprised that William Bryan's charges, without knowing more, obviously, that they weren't dropped at the preliminary hearing, because I think all he did was film them. And if that is all he did, unless he was weaving his car, because you could kind of see his car was weaving, when Arbery was zigzagging down the road. If he was trying to keep him boxed in, well, then he's acting in concert with the folks in front of him. Then he's aiding and abetting, and then he's responsible for the crime, just like McMichael brothers. So they're going to be starting jury selection today, and let's talk a little bit about jury selection. In a jury selection, you get 12 jurors, and in this case, they want 4 alternates. It's a very high-profile case. And given COVID, given everything that we're dealing with, masks and, vaccinations or non-vaccinations or whatever, people getting sick. So they've got 4 alternates. Now, here's how it typically goes. Jury selection is designed to ferret out those who can't be fair. So in other words, if you are sitting there and, let's say I watch Fox News all the time, I'm a total right-wing guy, and, and I side with these guys because, they got to stop crime. Well, the prosecutor's not going to want them on the jury, right? So there's one of 2 ways to get them off the jury. And one way is you get them off for cause, or you can use a preemptory challenge. Now, I don't know how many preemptory challenges. Typically, the state gets so many and the defense gets so many. And usually the defense gets a larger share of the preemptory. Preemptory challenges are those challenges you can kick anybody off the jury for any or no reason. It just can't be based on race or religion or gender, basically. Basically, one of the protected classes. Or let's say the defense, is questioning a juror, and that juror is totally pro-police, and their uncle is a sheriff, and they've gone through some law enforcement training, and have a particular bias towards police. They would believe a police officer more so than not. Well, then you could probably get that person off for cause if you can show that they can't be fair. But even when they have these particular biases, as long as they say I can maintain a certain amount of fairness, the only way to get them off is to use your preemptory challenges. So once they seat all 16 jurors, then they'll start the trial. Now, the jurors who are the alternates don't know who they are. But typically, it's the last person's picked would be the alternates. So you get your first 12 selected, the number 13, 14, 15, and 16, those 4 would be the alternates. Now, as far as a trial goes, typical order of a trial, the judge will instruct the jury on various things like their duty as a juror and not to talk about this case outside the courtroom, that kind of thing. And then the prosecutor gets up and they gives their opening statement, right? And the opening statement cannot be an argument. It has to be, this is what the evidence will show. Okay? So, in other words, the evidence in this case will show that these three men acted in concert and took this man's life with deliberation and malice. That will be, kind of the crux of and they'll go through they'll go through the indictment, and they'll go through the 8 counts, and at the end, the prosecutor will say, and at the end of this case, we will be asking you to find all 3 defendants guilty. Now, the defense can go and give their opening statement, or they can reserve and then give their opening statement at the beginning of their case. So the burden is on the state, so that you have a presumption of innocence, which means that the state has the burden to prove this case beyond a reasonable doubt. The defense has no burden to show that he's innocent or put on any evidence whatsoever. And if the state can't prove it beyond a reasonable doubt, then they have to be acquitted. So, but typically the defense would get up right after the state, and each defense lawyer has this right. So each defense lawyer will get up and typically give an opening statement. When you have 3 defendants like this, it's quite common that they will act in concert in terms of strategy. Like, I'll go first, or I'll reserve so I can do a opening just before our case in chief, that kind of thing. And then the state will present all their witnesses. The defense will present their witnesses. The state argues. Then you get closing arguments. The state will give their closing argument. The defense will give their closing argument. And then the state has the right for rebuttal. In other words, the state gets one last shot at telling you how full of shit the defense is. Because their rebuttal has to be only tailored to what the defense just said. So that is what's going on today in Georgia on the Ahmaud Arbery case. And it's just so sad that this young kid had to die for absolutely no fucking reason. I talk about guns a lot. They're dangerous. I think they're an important part of our culture in America. I mean, we have fucking guns everywhere. But when you are sitting there thinking you're a badass and you got the 3rd grade education, I don't know how much education these guys have or not, but it was such a dumb fucking move because they ended 4 lives basically that day. Their lives have never been the same, and they ended the life of a very innocent young man. And even if he was guilty of that, going into that home, so the fuck what? Talk to him, tackle him, punch him in the gut if you have to, but don't take a fucking shotgun and blow him away. Bullshit. Anyway, that's just my opinion, but we'll see what happens. I find it hard to believe that they're just going to walk clean from this. William Bryan may, because his role is not quite the same, but if they look at the way he's driving that car, and they think that he's acting in concert with the vehicle in front of him, boxing him in, it's quite possible that he could be tagged with everything too. So stay tuned. Really appreciate all the support. Really appreciate every subscriber. Really want you to follow us on Instagram because we put things out there that give forewarning of what we're going to be doing. And if you haven't got one of these yet, you better get one because we need to spread this word. We're going to be doing some other stuff on self-snitching coming up, and I preach this. You can be your own worst enemy with your mouth. So follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Patreon. We're still doing good work there, and we'll see you next time here on Criminal Lawyer Reacts.